finally back. Crazy stuff happening in the world of fantasy dynasty football for Mosaic MC. I, of course, quick intro, just jumping on in. I am Tyler Lauder, host, Second and Short podcast here, joined with my co-host, Mosaic MC East, Jason Teasley. And now we've had some kind of drama going down with us, but we're not really drama-centric people in the fantasy world. I don't think so. There's probably somebody out there that disagrees and thinks we are, but essentially we were in the Scott Fish Bowl. Fantastic. I think the picks came out really well. Jason kind of joined a 16-team league, 2 QB league to kind of get our name out there a little more. We're going to do some content on them. And after the rookie draft that just happened, projected number 1 team stayed that way after startup, which is really good. Obviously projections don't mean much, but today's episode's about projections, so we're going to kind of talk about that. And then we once were a part of the professional fantasy league that we got kicked out of because we tried making it too professional, which is fine. I hope those guys well. I wish them well. We just, too many suggestions to try and do things that aren't basic and are over the top, and it was too much for some people, and that's okay.
We wish them the best.
Yes.
In success. We're all about positivity because you see a lot of negativity in the fantasy football community, people hating on each other, and we're trying to change that culture and bring back the positive light to fantasy football and other creators that, just love fantasy football just like we do.
And speaking of which, we're in the process right now of starting the Creators Guillotine League over on Sleeper. We're going to run an 18-person guillotine league. Fantastic leagues. We've talked about these before. You draft your team after somebody, whoever gets 18th place that week in points scored, they're kicked out of the league. Their entire team is dropped into waivers, and everybody bids on players, and you have like $100 or $200 to work with all season long. You can either hold on to your money, hold on to your fab and your spending bucks and try and get somebody later. But if you don't get them now, maybe you're going to be eliminated next week. And once you're eliminated, your money's nothing. And it's worth nothing. But we're going to do a creators only invite is what we're kind of doing there. Kind of going out one by one before we post it. And it's going to be all for charity. $5, gentleman bets where the winner gets to take the money and kind of put it towards their favorite charity. It's going to be a fun little thing, kind of getting something off the ground, inspiration from Scott Fish. But we want to do something that's just like quick and easy, slightly different, and room to grow. And we'll get more news on that as we go on. But we've already talked way too long. People have already maybe, attention spans are low. So today's episode, you saw, we're talking about ADP 1 through 50 based on July's ADP, single quarterback PPR that we think are value picks. Next episode, spoiler, players 51 to 100 is who we're going to talk about. So you have the first pick, the first guy. Who is the first person when we're going from 1 to 50 that you stopped at and you're like, this is where the value's at?
This is mine. This is, I guess you could call this my homer pick.
Sure.
Because it is Saquon Barkley. I think that, the ACL injury, those are hard to come back from. He was a perennial top 2-3 running back coming off boards before the injury. Now, with Jason Garrett and everybody in the out of the mix, and we got a whole new coaching staff in. Evan Neal beefed up our offensive line, which was a massive thing that we need to contribute. I think Zeke is going to return to form, and you're getting him really late based on what his ceiling is.
Potentially, yes.
Yes. He's a potential top 5 running back when he's in form, and you're getting him like it was 40. Saquon is you're getting him at running back 14 at overall 23rd, which is 211.
Yes.
So getting a top caliber running back that late that has such a high ceiling, I think is a great value, and you could snatch up and benefit from, especially if the big if he does return to form, and all the reports coming out of the Giants front office and coaching staff are to be believed, he is back to his rookie and second year form.
His monstrous self. And yeah, that could totally happen. And it's not just I think there's a pretty big Saquon Barkley trend going on right now over on Twitter. I see a lot of it where there's a lot of fans of Barkley that think that he has a real opportunity to kind of come back to this running back one land. And I don't disagree with it, with working and trying to improve. Obviously, you need to improve the quarterback play. And I'm not saying that you got to replace Daniel Jones, but you've got to make a decision. Is Daniel Jones, is he your guy? Like, is that what's going to work? And let's say they don't. I like Tyrod Taylor to work with him. I think he could do some work, but ultimately, if Barkley can play, and that's the tale of this season, I think all these guys that are injury prone and you can't trust them because they've hurt you too much and they've done you wrong. When you play scared and you let guys fall and then they return to health, you lose in the end. And I like to talk about this all the time when I'm talking about injuries. I do this with my dad all the time, but because he talks about Saints players, I talk about Panthers players. Thomas Davis tore his ACL 3 years in a row. Like, should be done out of the NFL. And then played like, I don't know, I forget what it's like 5-6 years straight. Sometimes you just have, like, if you look at Hall of Famers that are out there, why'd they miss 7 games in this season? Are they injury prone? No, the injury bug just caught up with them. Everybody's bodies, I believe, are on clocks. You don't tear your ACL because you made a cut. You tear your ACL because it has X amount of wear and tear. It's on a clock. You've expired your clock. You put this much time into it. You can't predict these things. And so when we predict things, when we rank players, when we put in a projection, those that do it on like Barkley being injured, you're doing it wrong then. Because what if he's not injured? He's going to outperform running back 14 just by playing, just in my opinion, by playing a full season with no nagging injuries. I think at worst, you're going to get RB14 return. That's at worst.
Yeah, and you also got to think, players now, their bodies are totally constructed differently. You got bigger muscle mass that, you're trying to figure out what to do and how to strengthen these tendons and ligaments to hold up these muscles. And, it's an ongoing thing. People, you see it all the time. People looks at rehab, looks at, different training techniques. And that's what it's because. So when looking at it, quote unquote, injury prone player, you have to get rid of the prone part. Yes, injuries happen. It's going to happen. Players get hurt. That's part of physical contact sports. You do have those injuries. So you got to kind of not be so objective when looking at these rankings and ranking your players and building your teams.
Yeah, and we're looking at a situation like, just think about this. It's 2022 season is coming. It's fastly approaching. And we are at a point where we have 3 players that have torn their Achilles and are now going to be playing in the NFL this season. I mean, we have that's unheard of type thing. An Achilles tear for a running back, or most players, is just, you're done, you're dead, you're caught in the water. And now we're going to have Cam Akers, Foreman, and James Robinson, who's apparently already practicing type thing. These injuries that are supposed to take a year, 9 months, like, we see people come back like crazy, and it's all kind of changed for me. Like, Adrian Peterson he broke the mold, I think, when he tore his knee, and then he was like running in like 4 or 5 months, like it's sprints, and you're just like, how? And I think it's just, we have to remember how good Barkley really is. And the problem is that people are on this, like, if you disappoint me one time, I'm never going to go back. But if you disappoint me twice, I'm going to put a curse mark on you, and you're going to not even be on my draft board. And because of those people, they're going to exist. And because of those people, if you're in your redraft league, even and this is all pretty much based on redraft, because that's the season we're in. Dynasty wise, I think Barkley's a really good acquire as well. he's getting a lot of hype and he's slowly moving into top 12 territory for ADP because people are coming around. But you're going to have guys in your drafts that are like, I'll let him fall. I'm going to take these guys here. I'm going to take Leonard Fournette over him because, he caught more balls last year. He plays Tom Brady. Okay, well, Barkley was hurt. And as soon as he's healthy, the sky's the limit. And he's going to be a guy that I think can vault himself back into the first round if he plays like all season and the health is there, I look at it. So let's talk about another player that, he was kind of hurt, but that's not why people are pushing him down a dog game. This is not your guy because you are a huge spoiler. We're talking about Zeke. You're a huge Tony Pollard fan, but a person that has an ADP of 1 through 50 that I think is a great value pick is Ezekiel Elliot, running back 16. He has ADP 30, which is 3.06. So you can go in the first 2 rounds, get your running back 1, get your wide receiver 1, and then boom, Zeke is your RB2. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's really good value. Yeah, I am a Pollard fan. I think Pollard's going to push Zeke a little bit, but the best thing that can happen is that's going to make Zeke hungry, and that's going to make Zeke's competitive side come out because everybody knows Zeke is a competitive player.
Yes.
And this is going to be what they called bulletin board material for Zeke. So that's going to push him to be better and be stronger and be more productive and kind of put this aggressive streak in Zeke. And to get him in as late as what he's being projected is really unheard of. Like I said, just like with Barkley, Zeke was in that RB1 conversation for a while, and then he kind of dipped but you got to look at what happened. One season he lost Dak. So, quarterback play contributes to your running back. If you can't have a quarterback throw the ball, you're going to put 8 in the box and stop the run and dare teams to pass on you. So, and the emergence of Pollard last year kind of has, just like with myself, I'll own this, has got that groundswell up of is Zeke still the man in Dallas? So this is good value. I see this. And if you can get Zeke this late in your draft and have him as your RB2, I think it's great value.
Let's talk about a situation. Let's say you draw the 4th slot, right? Let's say a 3rd slot. Let's say you draw pick 3 and you decided I'm going to go Justin Jefferson at pick 3. Good on you. Great. Fantastic. Come back around and you're sitting there at 210. You take Barkley 1 spot before his ADP. Then you come around the turn 3 spots before his ADP. You get Zeke. Now you're sitting here with Jefferson, Barkley, and Zeke as your starting. 4th, 5th, 6th round, go receiver, and you're set. And it's going to look great for you. Zeke last year was RB7. Now I know, well, blah, blah, blah was hurt. Blah, blah, blah was hurt. That's the only reason he was 7. Fine. Insert those 4 guys and he's running back 11 if they beat him. He only had 66% snap share. His snap percentage went down and he still finished top 7. I don't think we're understanding. You guys know that Zeke had just as many receptions as Alvin Kamara, right? A guy that is the 2nd best pass catching, maybe. Okay. That's okay. Maybe I should be careful how I word that. Kamara is, I don't know. Where would you rank Kamara as pass catching? Probably.
I'd probably put him at 3.
Okay. A top 3 pass catching running back. Zeke isn't 1 or 2 in that category. No, you're talking probably about Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler. Maybe, yeah, right. That's probably right. So he caught the same amount of passes as him with less snap percentage than Kamara, with less snap percentage than the year before. And sure, Pollard emerged, but Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb did really well. Once upon a time, D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart both hit a K, 11 actually. We've seen teams that, their running back and quarterback, Lamar Jackson. Well, I guess the running backs didn't hit 1,000, but Mike Vick and oh man,
Anderson would have been. It would have been Anderson.
I don't think it was Anderson. I think Anderson's gone. Nope, I'm drawing a blank on his name. It's gonna drive me nuts. But anyways, they both ran for 1,000. I have his face in my head. I have his face. I'm looking at I think it's the 04 season. But there are times, it sounds rare, it sounds weird, especially in 2022 when everybody hucks it and chucks it all the time. But I don't see a reason why Zeke couldn't hit 1,000 yards, get me 40 catches, get me 8 touchdowns, and then get me 200 yards receiving and still be a top 12 running back. And Tony Pollard can do the exact same thing. If Zeke's snap percentage goes down.
Work done.
Thank you. Word done. Thank you. If Zeke's percentage just goes down, let's say it drops 10%, there's no way that 10% is going to take it from RB7 to RB16. You're going to thrive in value here in the third round. You can go receiver, and get a true RB1 in round 3. That's stupid, if you ask me.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I mean, Dallas is known for a good offensive line. They've got the ability to spread the ball around to open up running lanes. And this is what people don't realize is you're going to be playing Zeke, okay? Zeke, who is never considered a pass catching running back. He is considered a power back by many accords. But you're going to get that bonus pass catching on top of the power running, something you can't say about Kamara. Like we're drawing that comparison. Kamara is really not a between the tackles runner. Zeke is. Zeke's going to pound people. And the emergence of Pollard is going to keep Zeke fresh and healthier throughout the games so he can break or bigger runs. And they could tag team and be a tandem and wear teams down to where the success is later in the games. They might be sluggish the first half, but defensives do get tired. The amount of beatings you take throughout a game, defenses get wore down. So the emergence of Pollard keeps Zeke fresher, not only for the game, but for the season. So when you need to rely on Zeke in your playoffs and championship games, he's going to be there to produce.
Yeah. And here's the reason why we can say this, because he had a torn partially torn PCL last year. Like week 4 is what the report I'm reading, because I didn't know when he tore it. Week 4 is when he tore it, and he finished the season. In his career, he averages 22 touches per game. He's never had less than 268 touches in any season. So take that with what it is. If his touches drop by 20 or 30 because those extra 30 touches go to Pollard, take away 40 touches. He's still going to finish his RB12, I think. He's efficient. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns. There's a lot of targets open as well. And I know a lot of people, Gallup might not be back for week 1. They have Jalen Tolbert and James Washington immediately to take those targets. Obviously, everybody thinks CeeDee's going to get an extra 30 targets, which he might. And Pollard might take them, but nobody's talking about Zeke getting an extra 15 targets on the season.
No.
15 to 20. If he gets 20 more targets, we're talking at probably, those are all intermediate routes. Those are dump offs. We're talking maybe another like 12 to 13 catches. So we're talking about another 13 points at minimum, another probably 20 points, 70 yards, 13 catches for a running back.
Yeah.
Fair. Another 20 points right there, which probably puts him at like running back 5. I just don't see how his usage is going to go down. I think snap percentage is probably going to drop a little bit, but I think they're going to run a lot of 2 running back sets. We could see maybe some creativity with this team with the weapons they have, running a lot of pistol if they want to get creative. I'm not saying this is the type of stuff that Dallas is going to run, but I mean, they have the weapons. Jerry Jones is going to want them to be used. Now let's move on to my homer pick, but you actually picked him, which makes it your homer pick, which is cool.
Yeah, this is a player that you've really sold me on because, I really wasn't high on DJ Moore. And then, since doing a podcast with you, you kind of nudged me and elbowed me and, you build him up, you hype him up. And this is a player that is not getting the respect in the league drafts that he should. He is a wide receiver 1 caliber player. But people are picking him as a wide receiver 2 for their team. And this is insane. He gets an upgrade at quarterback because we all think Baker Mayfield's going to be the starter. A healthy McCaffrey opens up a lot of lanes for him and gets him a lot better one-on-one coverages. And this is a team that can only go up. So I see his ceiling being more in the finishing wide receiver. I think his ceiling is wide receiver 15. But I think where he's getting drafted is definitely the value is there to get a top top wide receiver, but you're going to get him later. And, we went over the mock draft, and if you can get him, he's going in the fourth, like the back end of the fourth.
Yep.
If just imagine that you get Jeffrey, Barkley, Zeke, and then get DJ Moore as your core positions, your first 4 picks. That is a championship caliber team in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking pretty fantastic there, if you ask me. I think that, to be honest, I think that there's a lot of guys here that in this range, I think are all values. I love this range. The 4th round is fantastic. There's a lot of good receivers. What we have to remember here is what DJ Moore, that stat came out, right? 3 straight years, 1,200 total yards, 4 touchdowns each year as well. And we have for DJ Moore, I'm going to pull this up as well because there's something I wanted to kind of see. I mean, I know, but I just want to have 100% definite fact for everybody else. I own a lot of shares of him, justifiably so, if in my opinion, it makes sense why I do. But DJ Moore himself is positioned as, okay, so the last 3 years of that stat total, getting that total yardage and everything, he finished as wide receiver 16 in PPR formats, wide receiver 23, and wide receiver 18. Now, okay, so what are we talking about here? Isn't wide receiver 17 getting drafted? I think that he's going to finish higher than that because I think Baker Mayfield is a really well polished quarterback. I think when he got Cam Newton, he didn't get full Cam Newton. To be honest, I think Cam Newton was kind of hurting, was kind of down at where he was at. In DJ Moore's 4 years, he's had 7 different quarterbacks throw the ball to him. He's about to have quarterback 8 now in his 5th year as soon as Baker starts. But here's the fun part about this. If we just take away, I'm going to say we take 4 of his catches, right? There's still going to be catches, but we turn those yards into touchdowns. So I'll even take away 40 yards of production and turn all 4 of those into touchdowns because he's only getting 4 touchdowns. We're going to put 8 touchdowns on him, which I think is possible. We have players that have outlier seasons on certain statistics. This could be his with Baker Mayfield. And we just give him that extra pointage, 6 points, starting 24 points. We already minus 4. So an extra 20 points takes him from 238 to 258, which puts him on the exact same place as Keenan Allen, which I believe was wide receiver 10 last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. 4 of his catches turn into touchdowns. We'd minus 40 yards off of that instead of the extra yards that he gets after the catch. DJ Moore last year was fantastic. So he was one of just 11 receivers. I'm going to read some reports on here. This isn't even my head. I'm going to read these. Thank you, Fantasy Pros. We're going to give you guys credit here. Not that you need us. But he's just one of 11 receivers to run around at least 90% of teams' dropbacks. He was top 3 in air yard share with 36%, and he was 7th ranked in target rate per route run, 25%. So if we just think of his quarterback play improves, he should improve. I think Robbie Anderson's going to take a step forward back as well to where he was back 2 years ago with Carolina. But I just think this whole offense is going to surprise people. The reason why I think DJ Moore's going to have more success as well, because Carolina went and addressed their offensive line. They improved at center. They improved at right guard, and they drafted a brand new shiny left tackle in Kwanu. And they're still going to have Moten at the right tackle spot. Left guard still a question mark, but Brady Christensen maybe can step in there, who played tackle and guard as well. If the offensive line is better, if McCaffrey's playing, he's the threat. Nobody's going to want to leave McCaffrey on an island. They'll leave DJ Moore on an island. And I think he's going to take advantage. And I think realistically, I've been talking for a long time, DJ Moore outperforming wide receiver 17 is one of the most surefire things, if he's healthy, that I have in the NFL this season.
Yeah, and the knock on DJ Moore is his touchdowns. And that shouldn't persuade you away from him. The yards are there. The touchdowns will come. Like you said, he doesn't have any consistency at quarterback in his career. I mean, there's no consistency there. He doesn't get in a rhythm. And when he gets in the rhythm, something changes.
Right.
So, not all of quarterbacks throw the ball the same. Not all the quarterbacks are going to position the ball for the receiver the same. So you got to take in body mechanics into the thing, the equation, and how they deliver the ball. So this is a absolute home run pick. I think if there's a chance to get DJ Moore late in your fourth round, if you do not hop on it, I will call you out personally and tell you that is the most asinine thing that you could do, is to pass on a surefire championship caliber winning player in the fourth round.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think it's a great value. And what's great about that is that you could even go running back 3 rounds in a row and get a guy that has a potential to touch that wide receiver 12 spot in the fourth round. Guys, honorable mention type thing before we get to our final guy. I like Terry McLaurin as well. Guys like David Montgomery, Antonio Gibson, I think have a real chance to outperform where they're getting drafted. They're just not in our best value here. Last guy, tight end George Kittle. We've talked about him a lot. So ADP 1 through 50 value pick, tight end 4 coming out the board, George Kittle. ADP of 45, which is pick 4.09. So 2 picks after DJ Moore. This is an alternative just in case DJ Moore kind of, gets picked a little bit early, maybe late third, early fourth, and you're sitting there in the mid fourth and you're like, oh, man, what am I supposed to do now? Go get your tight end 1. A guy that is locked in he was tight end 3 last year, I believe, or tight end 4. He's getting drafted as tight end 4 right now, but I think he has a great chance to finish even higher. He missed 3 games last year, or he only played 13, I think it was.
Yeah.
And 4 years in a row, he has led all tight ends in yards per route run. He's consistent after the catch. Now, with the news from Jimmy G to Trey Lance, we always talk about young quarterbacks, best friend, our pass catching running backs, and tight ends that can run every route for you, and they also block for you. And realistically, I think Debo is going to eat. I think Ayuk's going to eat. I think Jennings is going to eat as well if you want a deep sleeper and everything. And I think all these guys are going to really eat. But think about it. The guy that's protecting you all the time on the outside decides to run a route. Well, he just prevented you from getting a sack last time. You're going to throw it his way. I think it's going to happen a lot. And when I say this, I think there's a great chance that George Kittle is going to make a lot of people foolish for waiting into the fourth round. Because, I mean, like I said, you go 2 receivers and a running back, or 2 running backs and a receiver, and you get George Kittle, you don't have to worry about him. Granted, could he get hurt? Sure, everybody could get hurt. I don't play scared. He saw 95 targets last year. 95 targets. He didn't even see 100 targets, and he was tight end 4.
Yeah. And, everybody hypes up Pitts, which, is also a knock because he didn't score touchdowns his rookie year. I think you get the same production almost a full round later in Kittle. And I think people are falling in love with Pitts and pushing Kittle to the side because of the nice shiny thing in the NFL rather than the reliable thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you find the value is you're going to get 1 round later player with almost the exact same production. And I would even say that he would be within, I want to say he's going to be within, if he finishes behind Mark Andrews, I'm going to say it's going to be within 15 points.
It really does depend in that situation. Andrews is obviously going to a place where their number 1 receiver is gone, and we're assuming Bateman's going to take over that load. But there's not a lot of other guys there in Baltimore that we trust. So, I mean, Andrews might see more double coverage. He might see more, even though he might have a linebacker on him, he might have that safety that's checking over top as well. We don't know it's going to work. He's going to get fed a lot. Kels is going to get fed a lot. But I really think that this sounds really weird. I think we're in a spot where Kels's production is going to start going down, not because he's worse, but I just think that the Chiefs are adding so much talent across the receiving core and the running back group now. I think it looks so good. I think it's going to be more spread out because I think that Mahomes is going to adapt and become less predictable, which I think Kelsey can take a dip. Dalton Schultz, I think, is going to be fantastic this year because there's so many vacated targets. He scores a lot of touchdowns. He's in a contract year with that tag. And here's the thing. We talk about Kittle versus Pitt. That's the biggest argument, right? Pitts is going from Matt Ryan, loves tight ends, can make any, big dude look good, with no touchdowns really, to Marcus Mariota or Desmond Ridder. Granted, Trey Lance is just as unproven as some of these rookies, but Jimmy G to Trey Lance at worst is this. Like at worst.
Yeah.
Is
minimal.
Parallel. I mean, but potentially could be better. So George Kittle, if DJ Moore's already gone, go get George Kittle in the 4th round. Even if you're at 4-1, I think getting him at 4-1 is fantastic because 4-1 means that you were at the turn on both of what we got. 4-1 puts you at 2-1, which is 112. Okay, yeah, so it's full turn, right?
Yeah.
112, 2-1. So I mean, we're talking about you maybe getting like Joe Mixon, and then you're sitting around and I just want to kind of see this. Let's just say if we just go off of ADP type thing and you take him early, we're looking at you getting Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Swift, and then we come back around at 36 and you're going to grab Michael Pittman, Antonio Gibson, Justin Herbert, and then you grab Kittle. I'm not mad at that. I mean, obviously you fluctuate in there, but
yeah.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, I think it's a very solid draft. I think that there's a good opportunity that you can snag a lot of these guys a little bit early, a couple like 5-6 picks early, and get really good value. You know, you can take Barkley early second, and I think it's fantastic. You can take Zeke mid second, and I think that's good. DJ Moore you can take late third, and Kittle you can take late third as well, early fourth, and I think you're going to get great value. And these are just a sample. These are just players 1 through 50 ADP wise from July. Fantasy Pros, single quarterback PPR that we think are great value picks at their ADP. Obviously, we didn't even really talk about the first round. Your first round pick theoretically should just boom and you're going to be good. But next week, we're going to talk about players 51 to players 100. We're getting into that 5th round and we're going to move pretty much all the way down to like the 8th, 9th round is what we're looking at talking about. Give you guys some more value there. Make sure to follow us all social medias. Make sure to like this video down below. Subscribe as well here on YouTube. Check us out on TikTok. If you're listening on Spotify, leave us a rating. Follow along. We say this all the time, but content's coming. We have like a lot of stuff that's already backed up and ready to go. We're going to drop some stuff on here, but we're also going to give you guys some picks in each round that we find as alternative values. We're going to give you some honorable mentions and some short clips here. As well. So with all that being said, check out our Twitter. Jason's doing great things over there. He's got polls up every day. If you have a question, if you send a trade out there, tag us, tag at Mosaic MC, and we're going to retweet your trade. I know my fantasy league does it as well, but we'll do it as well. And we're going to put it out there. Yeah. I think getting clarity on trades is a good thing. And we're all about the beacon of positivity here in the fantasy community. And
we'll back up why we vote the way we do. That's something you don't see a lot. You just see a lot of votes without a lot of clarification of why. In our case, if you tag us, I'm going to jump on there, or Ty's going to jump on there, and we're going to justify why we think what side we pick won, and give you reasons and explain it, rather than just giving you an absentee vote.
Right. Exactly. With all that being said, thank you guys for listening. This is Second and Short at Mosaic MC. We will see you guys next week as we continue our Value Pick series. See you.